Oh, that's it, right. Okay, good to be here early. Yes, but in the newsroom is not as full as expected.
It will soon be.
Okay, let's go ahead. Hoping that in the course of this program, other members of the team will move in. Now, let's start with the statement credited to the Chief Justice of the Federation. Nigerians are the most litigious people on earth. That even with little disagreement, quoting him now, we rush to court, and in every lost case, we rush to appeal, even to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Let's start. Is it that litigation is so cheap, or what?
It is because Nigerians appear to be unforgiving. They don't overlook things, and any little matter they want to take revenge. And in this case, they take you to the legal system. If you are in an office and you feel discriminated against or one way or the other that is not in your favor, then you go to a lawyer. And the lawyers are there for that reason. The lawyers encourage people to come to bring their cases to them. So it's all working together. But the fact is that Nigerians are becoming less forgiving.
Okay, let's look at it this way here. If you are an aggrieved person, I mean, it's just reasonable for you to seek redress, or where there are infractions. And will you say that most of the times those who approach the court are the oppressed?
Nigerians are becoming more aware of their rights under the law granted by the Constitution. They are more aware of what and what not should be done to them. And so we say that they are the oppressed. Yes, there are some oppressed, and in fact, if I should say, a lot of oppressed people are not even going to court because they don't know about the court system that can be in their favor. But the fact is that intellectuals, educated people, they are the ones who will take any little thing to court, who will call a lawyer.
Are they flexing muscle?
Yeah. Are they friendly?
Flexing muscle.
Oh, they're flexing their muscles. Yes, they're flexing muscles. They want to show that they have power and that you cannot take them for a ride, which is very good. Every citizen, every individual must be aware of his or her own right and must make sure that nobody violates that right. But then when we'll get deeper into it, but as we take every little thing to the court, then it overwhelms the judicial system. It used to be like that in the state of Florida in the United States at one time, where people would sue for anything. A woman went to McDonald's restaurant and they served her hot coffee in a cup, and she was taking the coffee up and it spilled on her lap. She went to court and she won. So when this thing was becoming outrageous, then the state of Florida instituted something called tort reform. That means you can't just take anything and everything to court. Somebody sued her co-worker and said, I don't like the way he looks at me. I don't like the way he looked at me. So, and they went to court. So because of that, the state of Florida then instituted a tort reform that some cases cannot go beyond, in fact, some cases are not actionable. And that is what the Chief Justice will say, and we'll get to that later on when he says that.
Yes. And, okay, now, would you say, because litigation, you said a while ago that it is common, most of those who pursue litigation are the rich.
Yes.
Meaning that to some extent it is expensive.
Yes.
To get a lawyer, to pay for everything. So is it that it is cheaper in Nigeria?
It is not. Filing a litigation is not cheap at all.
In Nigeria now?
In Nigeria, it's not cheap at all.
Well, if you compare with the US?
Well, in the US, you have lawyers with a fee, $90 an hour, but the lawyer will limit how many hours they spend in your case. so that $90 an hour, maybe to go to the court and file, maybe he'll charge you for 1 hour, maybe to sit in the court and listen.
They call it appearance fee here.
Exactly, exactly. They don't charge outrageously like in Nigeria. But let me also say a thought that came to my mind, that people are more aware, I said earlier, are more aware of their rights, but who are those taking their right violation to court? They are the people who are more enlightened. When you ride a motorcycle or you ride in a public transport, if there is an accident and you are injured, that motorcycle and that vehicle has insurance, and the insurance company is supposed to pay you. But most people don't know, when they are involved in an accident, they go and take care of their own injuries and all, and that's the end of it. Because the average person is not aware of their rights under the law.
But should they even approach the courts to start with before compensations are paid by insurance?
Many cases do not even get to that extent, because they get to be continued. That is, they adjourn and adjourn and adjourn and adjourn, and it overwhelms the court. That's what the Chief Justice is addressing here.
Okay, now
yes.
the Chief Justice also provides some solutions.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it in passing a while ago, that some cases should end at the level of appeal.
Appeal, exactly.
Why some should even end at the level of high courts.
Exactly.
If I may add that.
Yes.
Do you agree?
I quite agree. Yes, I agree with it 100%, because some cases that are heard at the Supreme Court don't even belong there. I mean, don't sound like they belong there. They should have resolved or been resolved before they ever get to that level. So I agree with the Chief Justice, and it is overwhelming the Supreme Court. When you listen, look at the docket of the U.S. Supreme Court, maybe they have 10 cases a year, 10. Because most cases are resolved at the appeal court level or the district court level, and they don't go beyond there. Only the extreme cases get to the Supreme Court.
But it's not the case in Nigeria.
It's not the case in Nigeria, where they have almost 5,000 cases.
According to the Chief Justice now, 2021-22 legal year, the Supreme Court had entertained 1,764 cases. So that is a huge number compared to 10 cases you mentioned in the US.
That is quite a lot of cases for the Supreme Court to be sitting on.
1,764 cases.
1,764 cases is a lot of cases for the Supreme Court to sit upon. They cannot even hear all of that in 1 year. How many days, how many working days in a year, how many judicial days in the year to have 1,700 and something? So it is too much. And those cases, most of them should have been resolved at the appeal court level and never go beyond that.
Usman Abdulatif, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
While I was introduced, you said good afternoon and for coming early enough. I'm not sure if you'll be comfortable to add that to yours.
No. I'm sorry for coming quite a bit behind schedule.
Well, it's only because the table turns today. I'm here earlier.
It was due to a Nigerian factor. I'm sorry. Good afternoon to our viewers at home. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, you are familiar with the topic we are looking at. This Chief Justice also talked about alternative dispute resolution mechanism. Even at times, I know that I know in some countries there's what we call family court. I also recall that somewhere in Ibadan, around the Iyagonku area, I've seen a signpost, family court. I don't know how efficient or effective those courts are in Nigeria. Those are also some areas where issues could be resolved, not necessarily going to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, issues related to the family are taken to the family court. Divorces, child support, child custody, and all are taken to family court.
But do we have any in Australia?
I'm not aware of it.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah,
we have. Then let's hear from you.
Thank you very much. I think the issue of Nigerians have been the most what you call it, litigious people on heart is a testimony to the kind of people we are. Now, we have some like the CJ, like CJN rightly said, there are some issues that shouldn't. I mean, when it finally reached the Supreme Court, you realize that people have just wasted the time of the court. Issues that people know initially that they are not even the rightful people to call for litigation. They are not even the rightful person in the what the lawyers call respondents in that case and all that. People will join those cases and then they will be dragging it on and on and on. And then if you look at some of these litigations that are in the Supreme Court and the Appeal Court, most of them are chieftaincy titles litigations and mostly political. And then some other, the ones that also is very closer to the first two.
Chieftaincy or land matters.
Yeah, no, chieftaincy or land matters, things that can be resolved at local government, at most at the state level, and then it will be final. So we now have a Supreme Court that is just one. I mean, the sitting is just in one place. The judges are not up to 20, and then we have thousands of cases in front of them, like you rightly said. It is a sign that we need to critically look at our judicial system and then find a way to break down some of these cases so that we will not be having cases that are not related to Supreme Court as far as Supreme Court.
Okay, now in view of that, I want you to speak on this family court thing. You said you
yes, I was aware that I learned that one was in Osun sometimes, and actually there was a particular case concerning a teenager, I mean, that we went there for. It is around that Kelebe side, family court and all that. Okay. And yes, juvenile court or so. Because there was a particular.
Is it the same?
Yes, it's the same. It's the same. It's meant for family issues that relate underage children. I mean, that commit crimes and all that.
I'm aware of the juvenile court. But I thought it's the one that would.
No. It's actually a family court. They do also listen to family issues and all that.
Husband and wife?
Yes. Father and child. But if you look at the issue of divorce, family issues and all that, they don't normally go beyond magistrate court or customary court in the local government areas. Most of the cases are, go about to get to Supreme Court, Appeal Court are cases that I have mentioned. Political cases, land matters, and mostly chieftaincy matters. Those three cases. And in recent time, we also have cases of money laundering, economic
even property.
Yes, going as far to the Supreme Court.
Okay, now Adeoli, it said a while ago that some cases ordinarily should not go beyond local government and state levels for final determination. But the issue is this: some people don't have confidence in local government, anything local government or anything state, that it will just be bastardized. I don't know if you share that.
Yes, I'm aware of that, and I've heard people say things like that all over the place. They don't trust them, but you have to go there and let them decide the case. Let them hear the case and then decide it. If you're not satisfied, then you go beyond that. But
no. If those cases will be the final determination will be had at.
If it is a divorce issue, husband-wife, man-wife issue.
No, let's look at the issues. The CJ is referring
okay.
to now.
Well, some cases should have ended there, but then the loser will appeal. And then when they appeal, they go to a higher court, a higher level, and then it keeps on going. A person who has money to pay lawyers will always go higher. But that's what I said earlier on. It is the intellectuals or the noble who go beyond the appeal court. I mean, beyond the high court. Exactly, because they cannot afford to go beyond that. A person who is able to afford a case to go to the appeal court in Akure, then that person can pay the lawyer. And most people cannot afford to pay lawyers that much.
Okay. Now, the CJ is also saying that interlocutory appeals coming to the Supreme Court that ordinarily they should end at the Court of Appeal. Usman, do you share?
Yes, I share that. In sometimes back, about 5, 7, 8 years back, take for instance the issue of governorship tribunal, governorship issue. Normally stop at Court of Appeal. It is this same politician that influence the judicial system so that it will go to, Supreme Court. I think one of the ways it is actually the kind of people we are. People will know that they are at fault or they don't have a good case or something, but somebody somewhere will tell them that continue pursuing it one way or the other along the line. Maybe we can have some loopholes and all that. So some of these areas that the CJN is mentioning is what I mentioned earlier, that mostly naturally most of these cases should not go beyond appeal. But because the law has given them the right of appeal to get to the Supreme Court, people go as far as to Supreme Court. In fact, let me give you an example. We've seen instances where the Supreme Court will finally sit on the case and we realize that that person has been wasting the time of the court right from the court to High Court. Now they will now give them, they will now, award damages for that person for wasting the time of the court. But if you see that those damages too, they are just a kind of a slap on the wrist, nothing much, like 500,000. Yeah, yes, like 500,000. When you realize that people have dubiously or in a way that is not
maliciously
waste the time of the court, you shouldn't treat that with a levity, because what you are telling people is that others can still come and waste the time of the court. At the end of the day, you realize that they have no local standing in the matter. They have no anything to do with the matter.
Can lawyers be exonerated from this? This unnecessary pressure on the Supreme Court? Lawyers.
Can we get away from it?
Can lawyers be exonerated?
Oh, lawyers cannot be exonerated. Lawyers are to blame. Actually, lawyers at the first level. Lawyers at the first rung of the ladder that gets these things to the Supreme Court. They are the ones who encourage people to go beyond.
But they must shop. No?
They must eat, yes, yeah, of course. Even some cases that may be current right now, when we look at it, when you listen to it, you say this case shouldn't go beyond the tribunal or the appeal court. But the lawyers must eat. And you see some of the things that they're bringing up in hearings. When you go and sit in an average court session, you see what lawyers bring up, and then they will adjourn the case until another time adjourn. Lawyers are getting money for each adjournment each time they appear. So lawyers are to blame. I blame them. And that is why we need tort reform in Nigeria, so that a litigant will make sure that he can foot the bill if the case is lost at the appeal court.
Now, if lawyers, there may be instances where lawyers will say, you don't have a good case. There's somebody might say, I want to buy time. I still want people to feel that, yes, if I could not have it, he also will not get it. What about that mentality?
Yes, that is why.
And as I said a while ago, lawyers will do it for free.
Yes, lawyers are, I don't want to blame lawyers. We all have our professions and we all know how we do it. I won't blame them totally. I will blame people that allow themselves to be, if somebody commits, a crime, for instance, lawyers will call them and ask them, did you actually commit this crime? And they'll confess to their lawyers that have committed this crime. But lawyers will tell them that, okay, let's continue maybe. But I don't want to blame lawyers. It's their profession and they are engineered, they are programmed to think that way. So we shouldn't blame them. What we should blame is that the court should have a kind of heavy penalty. Let me give you an instance. In Kenya recently, Kenya held their presidential election, and it took their court just 1 week to just hear all the cases brought about by the challenger of that William Ruto. And then they said you didn't win the election. And they gave their judgment, and the person was sworn in. Why can't we have a kind of judiciary whereby somebody is not the rightful owner of a particular seat? Let's take chieftaincy, matters for instance. Somebody will be on the throne for 25 years. Then you don't get to Supreme Court and you say you are no more on the throne. He has already enjoyed that not be on the throne. Will you now remove his name, or in the history of that place, or will you cancel it legally that he has never been a governor or a king in that state? It is, if we are to be heard in this matter, it is the judiciary that will help us themselves. let me give you an instance. A magistrate in National might be sitting in 6-7 courts. It's just a magistrate. So if he appears in a particular court today, it means before he can have time to appear in that particular court again, it might be after 3 weeks, 4 weeks maximum. So it means he will be going round, and a case will be suffering at a particular place. That's why you have highest number of people who are awaiting trial in our prisons and our judicial system. It is uncalled for.
Okay.
We should find a way to cross that bridge so that our judicial system will be sanitized, and then we can have a reasonable judicial system in Nigeria.
Okay, it's good that these issues are being brought to the fore, particularly from the Chief Justice of the Federation. And good enough, it did not just bring out the challenge, it also provides solutions. And I think some other people should take it off from there, particularly the National Assembly.
And I also think it is time we unbundle our Supreme Court of Nigeria, so that it will be, we will divide it into about 3 or 4. A particular will be taken care of.
Just like the Court of Appeal.
Yes, a particular, okay, it can be domiciled in Abuja, but this one will be taking care of chieftaincy matters. This session will be taking care of political matters, and another. In that case, it will not be having cases that have been there 5, 7, 10 years that have not been attended to.
And let us talk in sympathy of the judiciary. This Chief Justice said there that they're undercompensated, they're underpaid, they're overworked and underpaid all the way. And we need to have our governors, our legislature, our National Assembly to do something about the judiciary. And there's a new package for them, by the way, but it's still not up to what it should be.
Okay, that's how far we'll be able to go on that issue. We'll move to the next topic now. The Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Alhaji Said Abubakar says he will continue to speak the truth to power, even though politicians are not comfortable with that. But I don't know, why is it that, according to you now, politicians are not comfortable with the truth?
Because politicians do not want the truth. Not all of them, there are exceptions, but there are many politicians who do not want to live by the truth, who do not want to abide by the truth, who do not want to admit that they are unqualified to be in that office. So they will not like what the Sultan has to say. Not all politicians, but there are many who are not qualified to be in the office they occupy.
I think traditionally is in the position of a father of the nation, one of the most influential traditional rulers in Nigeria, and he occupies the position to always say the truth, and they have to listen. And once that truth is said diplomatically and not in the form of being antagonizing the government, I think he's performing his statutory role.
I think truth is truth.
Yes.
Do you qualify truth?
Yes, that is another area of debate. We can now start, interrogating that word truth. What does it mean by the word truth? Because if he will be saying the truth, we are expecting to be saying Nigerian government people are suffering. But there are ways he might be saying it that we might not know he's saying. But what I know is that truth can be subjective, can be a word that is subjective. What you see as the truth, somebody else might not see as. If you ask average Nigerian, they will tell you that Sultan belongs to the ruling class and is part of them. A typical Nigerian will tell you that.
Is truth subjective?
Truth is interpretive. Subjective, it depends on how you interpret it or whose side you fall into. Pilate asked Jesus, what is truth? Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And Pilate said, what is truth? So we are still faced with that question today. But the fact is that truth is that which is right, correct, just, and that is in favor, that promotes society. So that is truth. And Sultan is speaking it.
I would say truth is factual.
Yes, truth is factual, but it may be subjected to various interpretations.
If something is factual, I don't think it's subjective in any way.
Yes, it's not subjective in that way. What I mean by subjective is that the word truth can be subjected to various interpretations depending on who you are. There's a difference between fact and truth. Fact is that you are a man. Nobody can say that you are a woman. But somebody can say, no, you are saying that he's tall. It's because you are looking from that angle. He's actually a short man. Somebody can start, telling that. That is different between truth and fact.
Let's leave that academic exercise. I definitely brought it in. I just wanted our viewers to also.
It's academic in the
now,
yes, academic.
In this context now, we all know what the Sultan meant by the word truth.
Yes.
And you gave an instance a while ago. Nigerians, or I would say, most Nigerians are suffering.
Most, yes.
Most Nigerians are suffering. Is that not a statement of fact?
And that is the truth. And it's a statement of fact, and it's the truth. Most Nigerians are suffering. And the politicians need to be aware of it. Politicians need to make laws to relieve the suffering of the people. Politicians need to be compassionate and do things to relieve the suffering of the masses. And we are not seeing that from them. And that is what this, I believe Sultan is pointing at them, that they need to think about their own people.
And Usman, the Sultan also charged leaders to take his advice as someone who is concerned about the well-being of the people. So when the Sultan says Nigerians are suffering, hundreds of Nigerians are right now at filling stations across the country, spending hours. Is that
actually came late because of that. To kill. Yes, Nigerians are suffering, and
Nigerians are used to this suffering.
No, we are not used to it, and we need rulers, leaders that will continue to say it as it is to the power that we have, the ruling class. That is why I am missing the personality of Muhammad Sanusi II, the former Emir of Kano. When you talk of me, if you ask me categorically, I will tell you that the Sultan must be saying the truth to power, but I really don't see it as saying the truth to power. Maybe once in a while, every 3 months, when he attended the location and all that. But Muhammad Sanusi II used every opportunity he had when he was the Emir of Kano to say things, to provide solutions to leaders about how Nigeria. It is one thing to go to a function and make rhetorical statements about a particular event. It's another thing to make genuine statements and provide solutions to things. So I think the Sultan should come out. He should be seen to be saying the truth. Not that he will be making statement that I will be saying the truth to power. No, we want to see him saying it.
He said he will continue. Meaning that he has been saying it, and meaning that some people have not been happy.
People have not. Yes, people are. If you said he has been saying it, I'm sure if you subject that to ask people around that the Sultan has been saying, people will tell you that they've not been hearing him. He might have been saying it, but we are not hearing him enough. Because we've not been hearing him enough.
But it should not be saying it. I have heard him appealing to his fellow Fulanis
yes,
about this issue of kidnapping, that they should stop disgracing that ethnic group. That most times they are always involved.
But that is not speaking to power. He is speaking to his kinsmen.
No, it is
yes. When we talk of people in power now, you see, people like Sultan are very powerful. For instance, even if he's not saying it publicly, he can go and lobby the president one-on-one and tell him that these are things you should do to bring down this suffering that Nigerians are going through. And people he will be listening to.
But we don't know if he has been doing that.
Well, his statement that is being quoted now, let me read a part of his statement. He said, sometimes when we say the truth as it is, some leaders don't feel good about it, but we will continue saying the truth. He said, when we do so, they should take such comments as just advice from people who are concerned about what's happening to the people the Almighty Allah placed under their care. So he's telling the people in power, the leaders and those in power, to be concerned about the subject, the people under their care. But that is a power word.
But are they listening?
They are not listening. No, they are not listening. They ride around in their air-conditioned car with the tinted windows rolled up, and they don't hear the cry of the people. they can ride through and see the long line at petrol stations, and they will say, oh, those people, rather than see why is it going on there. They are not listening, and that is why the Sultan says he's speaking truth to power until they hear.
Yes, and I want, when the Sultan is going about his act of speaking truth to power, I want him to be, to be categorical about it. For instance, he said he's speaking truth to power. He should mention a particular thing. For instance, Nigerians are going, he made this, statement maybe yesterday or day before yesterday when he attended a particular function. He should talk about the petroleum sector. He should talk about things that is affecting, not about making blankets. I'm not saying he's not trying his best. I'm not trying to run him down, but I think he should be categorical and talk to power according to the way they are going to hear. They are not going to hear when he speaks at a function. He should take it more beyond that. Take traditional rulers like him who are influential, meet and pressure political leaders to do the right thing. Not about going to functions. If it's about, playing to galleries and being rhetorical at functions, I think that the leaders that we have are not going to listen to that. I'm not sure they even read newspapers or they have time for all those things.
Yeah, I'm sure they read. Okay, now, let's look at this now. I want to quote it. We must look at who a leader should. Sorry, we must look at who a leader should be. What leadership should not be. What we should do as followers to ensure we have a good leader.
Well, we have to look at the character, the integrity.
So it's as if it's even talking from when we want to pick or elect leaders.
Well, we have to, again, we must talk to them whether they have character or not. Where he must continue to speak to them, and we also must make every effort to reach them and talk to them and tell them their errors. There is this is campaigning season, and there's a lot of a lot of talk going on all over town, in every town, all over the place, and they are pointing out the fault of their elected officials, but they are the ones who have, for the past 4 years or 3.5 years, eaten at the table of those elected officials without asking them to give account of their stewardship. So now it's time for election, they're pointing fingers. So the people have their own share of this thing that we are talking about. Don't just talk about them at election time, and by the month of March, once election is over, will the people still continue to point at the elected officials? The Sultan is speaking all the time. I've heard him on a few functions, not just this one that they had 3 days ago. I've heard him speak in some functions. I heard him right here in Oshobo when they were talking about security. And he's always spoken straight to the point.
Now,
okay,
politics is around now.
Yes, election is around.
Election, thank you. And you know our people now. They'll collect money.
Of course, they collect money.
So, how can we then question leaders, our leaders?
That's why I said the large share of this iniquity and inequity is in the lap of the average electorate. They talk in beer parlors around the corner, but when the elected official comes to their area, all they want is give me, give me, give me, and then once they don't say anything anymore. I've been in some meetings recently where they said they want elected official, and when the elected official came to there, they didn't even mention anything that they had been talking about before, until they were prodded by somebody I know to say, this is not why you invited them. So people just want money from the politicians, but they are not ready to tell the truth to politicians to their face.
Okay, but they say behind it.
Yes.
So I think we need to give kudos to Sultan for always saying it as it is, but I think it should go a step further to making sure that some of these statements is
I want us to talk about this, the leaders. We also contribute to who our leaders are.
Yes, we do, and we all know that. Whatever we are the reflections of the leaders that we elect. So it is the same, because the leaders come from the pool of the people that are among us. So the leaders are not coming from the heaven, they are not falling from the heaven. They come among us, and then we just send people up there, people that are coming from among the pool. But what I'm saying in essence is that whatever the kind of leaders we are electing, if some of our traditional rulers and some other opinion molders and opinion makers around us are not living the, you see, the system is so complex for average people, not only in, let me not use Nigeria, for average people to understand some of these issues. Look at the issue of fuel scarcity that's coming up now. When you tell an average man that this is why it is coming up, some of these technicalities and things around it are not understood by the common man. So we need leaders, whether traditional or political or any other person, that will be pro people, that will side with the people, to tell people at the corridor of power that this is what Nigerians are going through. In Sokoto, for instance, the poverty index in Sokoto State for now is one of the highest in Nigeria. What from the level of, even let me not use Sokoto, Northeast, for instance, what has the Sultan been doing in collaboration with other religious leaders and traditional rulers in Northeast to make sure that the living condition of people in that place goes up, so that it will have the confidence to speak to power.
Is it not because of the insurgency in that area?
Well, I must say that the Sultan cannot build a house for every homeless person, but the Sultan can help them to find a shelter one way or the other. The Sultan is feeding them every day. You should go to the palace, you see Almajirs all over the place. They eat 2 meals a day at least. But the Sultan cannot lift them out of poverty unless they go to school, you train them, and then they graduate, they get a job, then they become self-sustaining. But if we're looking for a leader or president or anybody to make everybody satisfied, you won't get it. You have to train them. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for many days. Let them be self-sustaining. And I believe that's one of the things that the Sultan is trying to say. Only that
we'll move to the third topic now. Another endless topic. Yes, a trend now, and exactly there is something similar about this trend in Osun State right now, whereby outgoing governors are alleged to be putting in place or implementing policies that may make governance Herculean, challenging, and doubting for their successors. Usman.
I think I agree to that, and I agree with that assertion that many men. But you see, the way a typical politician see politics, I'm not sure politicians see politics as an avenue to serve the people. It is an avenue to do some other things, maybe to enrich themselves and all that, to their cronies, their hangers on and all that. But I think it is true from what we've seen since 1999 with our political leaders, whereby when a governor is going, especially if the pattern of power is not from the same political party, when it is from one political party to another, we see a situation whereby the person will do a lot of things to make power to be uncomfortable for the person coming. Is a sign that leaders don't see leadership as a patriotic call to serve the people. They see because when you take leadership serious, you won't do that. You know that leadership is a trust. The fact that you've been given the opportunity
you have mentioned it, but I'll still come to you before advice. Do you also agree that booby traps are set for incoming?
Booby traps are set by outgoing for the incoming if they are they're not in good terms with each other or different political parties, and we can look back in retrospect and see some of things, activities that were actually carried out that were booby traps by the outgone governor. Gilbert, you're gone, now we can chat behind your back. That was the song for the Hurricane Gilbert. The one that we couldn't talk about is no longer in power, but we can say that hiring 20,000 people a few 2 months or a few days to your going is booby trap. Awarding contracts less than a month to your exit, awarding multi-million or multi-billion contract is a booby trap. So we can say we just saw that in Osun.
So somebody has said that even this figure of those that were employed are those who have this sentiment for the past administration that were not up to
Yes,
the figure
yes,
that is.
yes. The figure is not up to that. The figure cannot be up to that.
And what is the figure?
The figure should not be around 4,000 or 5,000. And I'll give you a breakdown. The additional recruitment to the teacher, the first phase of the teachers' recruitment was 1,500. Then we had that. They've had 1,000. Then 1,500 now. That's what 500. Then we had 500 people employed in to primary health care centers, and then that is 2,000.
500.
The 500. That will make it 2,000. Then we have cases of in some ministries replacements and all that.
Where do you get your statistics?
Yes, I will get it from people around. It's not. They said 500. Unless that's why the spokesman to the former governor said, bring out the figures, let the people publish the names of people we've employed. But that's not the thing. The thing is just that a typical politician in Nigeria naturally will not want the person that is succeeding him to shine or to outperform him.
But why is it difficult for the outgoing government to tell the people of Osun State the number of people they have employed? Is it not within their responsibility?
Yes.
If they have done that, we won't be facing all this.
There will be no executive order.
Yes, and let me tell you, it is because the incoming government is not that of they are not of the same party. It is done almost everywhere.
No, even if it is the same party,
yes,
they only just try to manage it.
Yes, they try to manage it that will not become a crisis. But what I'm saying in essence is that
no, you have not answered my question. Why was it difficult for that government to inform the people of Osun State the number of people that?
But in fairness to the former governor and the past administration, I'm not sure it was done in secret. Most of it were done openly.
You mean the employment?
Yes, most of it.
What about the transition committee that was never set up?
That one is political.
Excuse me.
It's political, yes. But that's when all these numbers.
Let's look at the past.
Yeah.
When teachers were to be employed, forms were sold, advertisements was made, examination was conducted even by one of these examination bodies, oral interview conducted, list of successful candidates were pasted. So it was convenient for everybody to know the number of people that were employed.
Yes.
Why are we not having the same process this time?
Yes, and as far as I know, I'm not trying to speak for the past administration, but we have to be saying the truth. That of the primary healthcare recruitment too, they invited people and interview was done, screening was done.
So was the teachers.
Yes. So, but what I think the problem now is that it is morally wrong. The past administration is doing something right at the wrong time. It is not bad to employ people. Most of these people that were employed, that is why if you see from yesterday now till today, the new government has been subpedaling on that, because a lot of people that were employed mostly can be from the other party too. So I think the issue is that our leaders should see leadership as responsibility. That's the bone of contention. The moment you see leadership as responsibility, you will think of the person coming. He's coming to serve the people, not the people of your party.
I was about to say about the teachers who were employed. A total of 2,500 have been employed right now, as of last week. But the recruitment process happened over 2 years ago, and each applicant bought a form for, I think it was 2,000 naira. 3,000 naira. And then those who lost, who were not recruited, those who didn't get employment, they're 3,000 naira down the drain. But who is accounting for that money? Where is all that money? Who collected it? Where did it go? What was it used for? We don't know. So that is one of the booby traps that we're talking about. They didn't do things right. I have, even before they left power, I've been speaking it, I've been talking it publicly, privately, sending messages and chats about these things, but nobody listens.
Okay, now, the present administration is talking about padded payroll. And that was why one would say or ask, when employments are made, the financial implication ought to also be
considered.
known. I'm employing 1,000 people. It will add so amount to the wage bill.
Yes, I think well, initially, right from the time people have been retiring from the civil service, and people have not been added to it, especially the teaching. I mean, the teaching service, and then some other critical sectors of the.
Some people have jacked back in the health sector
and all that. So we are having.
Some people have also lost their lives.
Yes, but maybe the past administration, in order to manage resources, decided not to recruit at the right time. And now that he did it, people are saying you did it at the wrong time. But what I'm saying in essence is that even if that is done, I was a guest on a TV program yesterday morning, and I said it. Even if it is done, it is the right of the new administration to check it. Whoever that has been recruited wrongly should be removed. But they shouldn't go about it with political mindset that we want to fight this person politically and we are going to remove everybody and we are going to cancel everybody. Because if you cancel everybody, even now we need more than 2,500 teachers in our schools. Because for years we've not had any recruitment for years, and hundreds of people of teachers have retired as far back as 2015, 2017. We need up to 5,000 in our schools. So we now take 2,500, and you said you want to send 1,500 out of them away. I think it is wrong. It is wrong. Too wrong doesn't make it right.
I don't think anybody has said.
They are not saying it.
No, he said he's going to. Yeah, he actually said he's going to sack everybody. Then he now said he has set up a review committee.
Yes.
And then he made a pronouncement later that day that negates setting up that review committee. The CPS of the new governor has to come to the Rave FM.
What was the statement?
The statement was that he has sacked all the employed. I know. Before the end of the program, I'll bring down
You can work on that.
Let me work on that so that I will
said put on hold and this process will be reviewed. And that is why the number 6.
It was actually reported by the Nation that he said he has sacked 12,000.
Don't mention any paper, please.
Okay.
And we know the interest of each paper. Now, what I had during the inaugural speech was that all appointments, promotions should go back to the 16th or 17th of July. That does not translate to sack.
And
you may interpret it to be so.
Okay.
But that the word sack, that all appointments, at times when you're talking about appointments, you are only recruitment. Yes, I'm not even sure the word recruitment was mentioned.
He said appointment.
So because when you talk about appointments, like those that were appointed permanent secretaries too, it was also an appointment. Those that were made rector or whatever. So that does not mean sack. And that does not mean all these people were not on the payroll as at July 17th. Yes. So to say sack may not be the appropriate interpretation.
Yeah, it was a misinterpretation on Monday morning when they said it's sack.
So I know that is not but I don't want to talk about that. That is
it was a suspension.
That is why on hold. So the word sack is not somebody trying to part. Okay. But what I'm interested is this. If the people of Osun State have been informed of the number of people that have actually officially informed about the number of people that have been employed, and also told about the wage bill, the financial implication. Perhaps nobody will talk about.
But we've never had any case where a state will recruit and then will come back and tell us after this recruitment, this is the wage bill of the state. It has not been done anymore.
There was a time when
the actual wage bill of the state is not even known. It's not a public.
Right here in Osun State, there was a time when the governor will announce the wage bill, a monthly wage bill of this state.
Most of those announcements are actually political. I can tell you from what I know. I know some politicians will not tell you the true wage bill of the state. Yes, I'm just saying this because we are close to some of these people. They will not tell you the actual figure of at a particular time. They will not tell you. It may vary from time to time.
They were public knowledge in those days.
If these appointments were done 3.5 years ago.
Yes.
Yes, you may be right.
Yes.
But when you are supposed to be writing your
handover notes,
then there are reasons for people to be
know.
apprehensive.
Okay.
Let us look at the way politicians are doing things.
Yeah.
But let us look at the way
right
things
way
should be done. That's why we are here. We should not justify our
not justifying. Just trying to.
I know as you are here.
Yes.
If you are a politician and somebody asks you to give a day will be 100,000, myself 100,000. When you bring those money, you will deliver the actual amount.
Yes, edited.
So don't let us encourage that kind of thing of change.
I'm actually not encouraging. I'm trying to analyze things as.
Okay, now let's look at these two. Yes, something is also happening in Rivers State. Yes, some Wike appointed 200,000 special assistants, and he has 7 months to spend. He has 7 months to spend as governor of that state, and some people have done some calculation amounting to 42 billion naira during 57 billion. But one thing is that these are not permanent appointments.
Yes.
So if your administration can carry the burden, fine. But why taking it up or further to another
person? Yes, it is morally wrong to do that, and I agree with you. And I said it earlier in my submission that he's doing the right thing at the wrong time. And then you also made an intervention that he should have, after doing that, okay, before I recruit these people, this is the wage bill of the state. Now after recruiting them, this is the current wage bill. Because the new administration believe that he's trying to belabor them, burden them up with that expanded wage bill, so that the administration will be hitting up by paying salary alone, and will not be able to do any of that.
And the speech of the new governor, the inaugural speech, said, and the last sentence of most of his point was that without regard for
due process,
and the budget.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. That's why I subscribe to the fact that it should be reviewed, and whenever there's any, due process not followed.
What we will only suggest here is that yes, good to review, but in the course of reviewing, those that have genuine
some will stand, some
that didn't follow due process
and this should also be looked into with the needs in various government parastatals and what have you. If they actually need it and they qualify.
That's the word.
They should stand a better chance than somebody else that has not been. So that, but things should be done
the right way.
They should be done.
Yes.
It would have been better if they have been employed some 3 years ago. Nobody will have raised all these issues.
Or pre-election time and all that. Thank you.
Well, that's how far we're able to go on today's edition of this program. Let me appreciate Adiwale Adeomi for coming early.
Thank you very much for coming
early today. Yes, I also thank you, even though I come a little bit behind schedule. I'm sorry for doing that.
It's the petrol station.
It's the petrol.
We understand. We appreciate your still trying to be here.
Thank you very much.
So the program will be back tomorrow. My name is Savio Donaldini. Bye-bye.
Mondays through Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the newsroom. You can't afford to miss it.
Kérésìmesì ọdún ayọ̀. Kò sí àní-àní pé afẹ́fẹ́ ọdún kérésìmesì tí ń pẹ́ lọ́tún lọ́sì bọ́dún kérésìmesì ṣe ń súnmọ́ ìgbìmọ̀ aláṣẹ àtàwọn òṣìṣẹ́ iléeṣẹ́ OSBC ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run fún àánú àti ìpamọ́ rẹ̀ látẹ̀sí bí a ṣe wá ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run bẹ́ẹ̀ la mọ rírì ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ iléeṣẹ́ yìí tẹ̀ ń gbọ́ wa tẹ̀ ń wò wá tẹ̀tún ṣonígbàwó ètò kan tàbómi lọ́dọ̀ wa àwọn ń fi àsìkò yìí ràn yín létí pé ìgbìmọ̀ tí iléeṣẹ́ OSBC gbé kalẹ̀ fọdún kérésìmesì àtọdún tuntun ti ṣàgbékalẹ̀ onírúurú ètò fọdún kérésìmesì àtọdún tuntun bíi pàtàkì bíi Jésù ọ̀rọ̀ ìyànjú ọdún kérésìmesì àfihàn bàbá kérésìmesì àpèjọ ọdún kérésìmesì àìsùn ọdún kérésìmesì àkànṣe ètò fáwọn èwe